We got hards on. We're going to the end.
I don't know if my nose is showing up as red as it looks. Got a bit of a runny nose, but I thought, you know what? Let's bang this out now, if you will. That's my choice of words, which is reacting to my Formula One predictions from the beginning of the season. Now, I want to caveat this real quick, right? Um, I enjoy fun times. I enjoy good vibes, and I'm not a tryhard. Okay, no, look, you could say I'm covering all bases right now, but before we get into like my score and stuff, and I'm going to compare it to Tomo's predictions, who's a Formula One content creator, who, I actually don't watch a lot of Formula One videos. I tend to not watch a lot of videos in general on sports because, like, I don't know why. I just like sports is a very touchy thing. Hearing other people's opinions, you can be easily triggered. So I don't actually watch a lot of content, but I do know that Tomo is like probably the biggest, I guess, UK wise anyway, talking about Formula One. And the one video I do at least watch is his predictions video. I know he's a big Albon fan. But I also know that his predictions are going to be a lot more using his head than his heart. Okay. And he's going to go for the obvious things like, let's be honest, most people you saw did predictions. They all predicted Verstappen would win the championship. Whoa, what do you do? What do you want? You want a cookie? You're not going to get a fucking trophy for doing that. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the odds. I'm a betting man. Okay. And I'm a losing man, but I'm a betting man. And I'm looking at the odds and I'm going, oh, Max Verstappen to win. It's like, it'll be like, you're not even doubling your money. I'm gonna roll the dice. So I'm trying to say, I'm trying to live a little. Okay, so bear that in mind when we look at my predictions. And I said this at the time. I caveated all my predictions at the time by saying, I don't actually believe. I definitely said in that video, 100%, Max Verstappen will probably win the thing, but I didn't predict it anyway. Let me find my predictions first because, as always, I'm not even like prepared. You know what really sucks? I'm actually gonna have to kind of edit this because every 45 seconds my nose explodes with snot. Anyway, and I'm just not gonna keep that in. I'm not that bad of a person to make you suffer through that. It's almost illegal. Like having that much snot coming out your nose, like being on a train, like I feel terrible. I wonder when other people are like inhaling all that snot up their nose and everyone has to hear it, if they feel as bad about it. Because when you hear it, you're immediately pissed. If you're like, I'm disgusted by this, and then when you're in the situation, it's like, fuck me, I'm the asshole. And it's like I can't do anything about it. It's just it's just a cold. But like, yeah, it's almost like public indecency. You know what I mean? When like you're inexplicably just showing off all your snot like that. It's like, put that shit away. No one wants to see that. So yeah, unfortunately, and I've wasted about 45 seconds just explaining that, meaning I'm probably gonna have to cut it again in like 5 seconds from now. But anyway, I'm feeling all right for now at least. I think I've expelled my demons. At 20. I put the same. Well, we're just going to do mine first. We're not going to go through Tomo's rankings. Okay, that's getting way too much airtime. We're just going to go through mine and compare it to what actually happened. Then the different. Now let me try and explain this correctly. The difference between where the player actually was to where I predicted them. We're going to add up all those differences, and that'll be your score. Golf rules, lowest score is better, right? So if Magnussen is 4 places higher than you put him, that's 4 points. If someone's 4 places lower than what you predicted them, that's 4 points. We're aiming for zeros, bang-ons, okay? And yeah, we'll get into if I got any. Let's just say that as a little trailer. I put Magnussen last. Did I put Magnussen last? Which is the predictions of which are mine? Yeah, I put Magnussen last, and Sargent was last. I think, a safe gazer maybe put Sargent last. He was kind of slightly looking like he was going to be improving a little bit maybe towards the last season. Maybe that's a fairy tale in my head, and that's not true. But it seemed like maybe it's just, again, optimist. I kind of wanted Sargent to do well, if I'm being completely honest. I kind of wanted to prove that if you actually give people some time, even if they start terrible, they can come good. Because it's a sport where it's so much like you got to hit the ground running. So I kind of liked the idea of that, so I probably put him high for that reason. I put Magnussen down below, simply not because I think little about Magnussen and I think little about Hulkenberg, but just like, that's a spoiler, but just like, so much of the predictions, it feels like it's just, oh, what cars do you think are going to do well? If you think the Hasses are going to be shit, you're going to predict the Haas cars to be down in the driver standards. That's why I was going to do like my ranking of the drivers, my table of who I think did well, because typically you kind of think to yourself like, oh, it's all relative. Like, I see predictions and they put Hulkenberg in the top 3 or in the top 2 for like how good of a season he had. And it's just like, but did he? Like, it's not like they actually did have a car that was near the back of the grid and he was putting it up in those places. Don't get me wrong, he had some really good positions where he probably did get the absolute most and more out of the car. But realistically, the table as it is delivered with the points is realistically just how the actual rankings. Like the second best driver this season was Norris. Realistically, um, Verstappen was the best. Fucking Gasly was the 10th best. Like that just is how it is. And I used to agree with the relative argument, but then it's just like Hulkenberg, yeah, he did well and he beat his teammate. So I guess you can compare it to teammate and say, okay, maybe. But I just think like it's not huge places like should be going up. Like Hulkenberg in the top three, I think is just like what's the word? It's very hipster. Oh, I know what I'm talking about type thing. Because at the same time, if I put Leclerc in that Haas car this year, if I put Norris, or like some people have Hulkenberg as the second best performing driver, like relatively speaking. But if I put Norris or Piastri or Verstappen or literally anyone apart from Perez in that um, Haas car, I feel like they probably also would have extracted the same Hulkenberg did or more. So I don't think the relative argument is really that important. Like the only people I'd really change from the actual driver rankings to reality is I would move Perez way down, and that's about it. Perez is number one hater right here, as always. Anyway, we'll get through these. I'm absolutely waffling. I might have to like blow my nose in a while. So let's get some claps for that. Everyone, rate 5 stars for not. I don't know why I'm snapping. I guess I can't clap, so that was me, sort of. But rate 5 stars for the for I don't know. Going up from there, I put Zhou. I think in my mind it was the Haas and the Sauber. Well, I don't remember. All these teams change their names so much. Kick Team Sauber, whatever. Would be like the shittest cars, and therefore you put the drivers near the bottom. And you can either do one of two things when you predict stuff like this, which I think I've learned. This is one thing I have learned. Like I'm still going to be fun with my predictions next year, but one thing I've learned is typically speaking, just put the teammates directly next to each other. There were so many points or lack of points, you get it, that I left on the table because I didn't just put teammates directly next to each other. The amount of times it's just like teammate and then their teammate at like one place above or below them. But, we'll get to that after. So I put Zhou 19th. Zhou was 18th. That's a difference of obviously 1 point. Not too shabby, Alonso. I put Hulkenberg 18th. This is my biggest mistake. I think a lot of people have made the same mistake. A lot of people have put the Haas cars near the bottom. And again, this is less a prediction of drivers, kind of more a prediction of teams. And it's like, by predicting the Haas team wouldn't be good. And again, that was mainly a heart decision. I wanted them to be bad because I like Gunther Steiner. That, it wasn't me genuinely thinking it, breaking down the car and the chassis and looking at the sort of the new bodywork and the reveal and going, oh yeah, this doesn't aerodynamically look like it's going to do shit. It was just like, deep down, it was like, I like Gunther Steiner, I want them to crash and burn. I'm going to predict them near the bottom. Then I've got Bottas, who did 2 worse than I thought. He was down in 19th. There's not much to say on Bottas, apart from that he did actually get beaten by Zhou this season, as Zhou managed to get points right near the end, which probably hurts his soul. Going up from there, I put Sargent 16th, which, I don't know, again, a little bit hopeful, which is, I guess, pretty damning on Sargent. Me being hopeful, like that, this was an optimistic season that I was predicting from Sargent, putting him 16th. 16th! And even, that was too much to ask for, apparently. That also I want to mention, I took out all of the people who've jumped in. If you weren't here at the start, you don't count. Ollie Behrman, fuck off. Liam Lawson, too late, son. Anyone else? Jack Doohan? Not chance. You know what I mean? So, we're just not doing that. So everyone's kind of been moved up or down accordingly, taking those people out. If you started the season, you're in the prediction. So Ricciardo is in here. We're talking about him. Going up from there, I put Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll did 2 better than I thought, which I think most years when people do predictions, I think more often than not, they're probably predicting Stroll too high and then they're being let down constantly. I think it's probably been rare over his entire time in Formula 1 that people have predicted Stroll too low. And he didn't set the world alight, but he wasn't, he was quite far behind Alonso actually. I don't have their exact points next to their names here, which I probably should have added, just their positions. And he did have a few drivers in between him and Alonso, and considering most teams are directly next to their teammate, that's not a best luck. But, look, he was 13th, I predict him 15th. By the way, still not had one bang on, which I will reveal to you that if I was to compare it to Tomo's right now, at this exact same point, on the 14 mark, Tomo has had 3 bang on. I'm a betting man. What can I say? Anyway, number 14. No, 14. Yeah. Wait, why am I wrong? I predicted Albon in 14th. Albon was 16th. And, oh, actually, fuck you, Tomo. You can swivel on that, son. I'm pretty sure Tomo has also predicted Albon in 14th, and Albon was 16th. Yet for some reason, I'm feeling charitable. It's Christmas time. And Christmas just came early. I gave him 0 points. I gave him a bang on. No, mate. Not getting away with that. That is a -2, which makes me feel a lot better about myself. Albon did 2 worse. We both got that wrong. Unless I've just got the predictions wrong. But we are like in the drive right now. I'm in my flow state at the moment. It doesn't look like it. I'm in my flow state right now. So like I'm not going back and changing shit. But let's change that right now. And let me update what his final score is. Because that is not a bang on. I don't know why I thought that lined up. I think I probably referenced it back to my predictions and thought, is there any other times I did that? No. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. But I did that time. Well, he predicted Albon 14th, and so did I. I know he's a big Albon guy, and Albon ended up doing worse than he predicted. So I don't know if he had any bias in his decision making there. But we both did 14th, so probably not. I was probably just being honest with it. And to be fair, like I know people don't think Albon had a great season. It's just like, Albon is so boring to talk about. Like I saw this TikTok where people were like asking like who's the most overrated driver on the grid, and oh my god, the amount of answers where people either said one of Lewis Hamilton, like either said Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, or Lando Norris, and it's just like, God, this has got to stop being a take. Like the 3 people who were like the 3 people who it's just insane. Like even forget Lando Norris because he did bottle it a few times, but he's not overrated. So many people have been giving him shit this season. If anything, it's just rated. But like the amount of times you'll have someone go, "Who's the most overrated?" and they will just go and pick like the best person, just because it's like it's so easy to say, "Oh, well, they're so loved," and I actually don't think they're that good. Like they're still good, but they're overrated. It's just so easy. And I think in reality, it could be Albon because it's just so difficult to ever talk about Albon. That's why I almost never do. And at one point, he was like in my top 3, top 4 like favorite drivers. But now there's just like no narrative around him. It's hard to still care because it's just like, what can you ever really talk about? You never know if he's doing good or bad. He's just at Williams. His teammate is Sargent, and then like who was it before? Has it always just been Sargent, or did he have like someone shit before that? Like I think he had Big Nose Latifi. Sorry, Latifi. I just had to try and think of a way to remember, and that's what came to mind. Anyway, so like there's been basically what I'm trying to say is it's going to become interesting when we see him against Sainz, and if he gets absolutely slapped by Sainz, especially considering like before like all the Ferrari stuff happened and the Hamilton stuff happened, there was like slight rumors about like Albon going to Ferrari and stuff, like, and therefore I guess taking Sainz's seat. By that logic, if any of that was true, right, then if Sainz absolutely bodies him, then I think the take that Albon might be the most overrated driver on the grid would be fair enough. Because everyone views him as like, not everyone, but people view him as like a redemption arc type thing when he's kind of came back into a team and been competent against dog shit. You know what I mean? But I like Albon. I don't think he's shit by any means, but it's just hard to. We need to move on. What are we doing here? I didn't think I'd be giving this much airtime to Alex Albon's position, but here we are. Going up from there, I had Esteban Ocon, who was actually 14th, and I had him in 13th. So again, I was one off here. So far, I've been off. But to be fair, this bottom section is not great. Like my bottom third, not my best third. I can put my hands up and say I'm not in my best third. I think I kind of put it together a little bit in the middle sector, if you will. But like so far, not great. Albon. I mean, so far this is the closest I've been. The closest I've been so far is having either someone one better or one worse than I predicted them. Ocon no different. I predicted him 13th, and he was actually 14th. Going up from there, who I think the most underrated driver on the grid is Yuki Tsunoda. Poor Yuki Tsunoda, and I got him bang on, mate. I predicted Yuki Tsunoda 12th, and Yuki Tsunoda finished 12th. I at least got one. You know, if you throw enough shit at the wall, something will stick. You know, I'm throwing darts in the dark, mate, and I just hit a bullseye. Yuki Tsunoda we got right, and I'm always like this with predictions. It's the same with my football predictions. I don't necessarily get the top right and the bottom right, because that's when I'm most emotional, and I'm being most like thinking with my heart, is when I'm talking about the people at the top of the pack and the people at the bottom of the pack. And the people in the middle, I'm probably thinking most rationally. And it's the same with my Premier League predictions. I always get the middle of the table bang on, which is weird because that's probably the most difficult part to predict in some ways, because it's like it's all so close within a couple points. But that's just what happens for me. Fuck, Trevor Chalobah has just scored. By the way, no one gives a fuck. Centre back for Crystal Palace. He's just scored against Brighton. I was gonna put big money on that, and the odds on that would have been great. Centre back scoring a goal, just pulled out your ass. I was gonna. Oh mate, I would have been. You wouldn't have heard from me again. I would have been out of here. But yeah, no. Moving up from there, I've got Daniel Ricciardo. Okay, stop booing. I know, I've got Daniel Ricciardo. But here's another thing that makes me feel slightly better, is I put Ricciardo in 11th, and Tomo F1 put Ricciardo in 10th. This is probably Tomo's only outright time where he let his hair down, and he had some fun, and he went, fuck it, fuck the rules. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna show some skin. Because he predicted Ricciardo 10th, and I know for a fact that's because he loves Ricciardo, and he always does this. He predicted Ricciardo to beat Norris, and he's always predicted Ricciardo to do really well, and it's just not been happening, and the signal signs have been there. And look, I did the same thing. I didn't go as crazy. I did predict him above Tsunoda, to be fair, which he also did, but I just had him slightly lower. But the thing is, I do kind of remember watching this video, even though it was a year ago, and I think he predicted him P10 based off the logic of he's just going to do really well this season, outperform his teammate. I was predicting it off of like the chance that he was going to get the Red Bull seat. And I didn't think it would have to set the world alight for the Red Bull seat. And he kind of seemed like he almost got it at one point. And I thought if he gets that seat halfway through the season, obviously now he's going to be finishing in the points a lot more. That's going to drag him up the table. And that's also why when we get to predicted wins, all the drivers who I predicted would win a race this year, spoiler alert, I did predict Ricciardo, not because I thought he'd win, and that was just a complete heart decision where I thought he'd win in a little fucking sister team, Red Bull. But I thought there's a chance he goes to the big boys. He's now in the big boy leagues, and he could win a race with Red Bull. So that's what I did there. Didn't quite pay off, but what can I say? We rolled the dice. So that was 6 places off. That is my second biggest gap here. But you know what? My second biggest gap is sandwiched between 2 nuggets of, genius. Because above that, I've got Gasly. And Gasly, I'm proud of this, because not only do I have Gasly above Ocon, but I have him comfortably above Ocon. I've got him in the top 10, and I was only slightly off of Ocon. I almost got both of those. Like, if I got Ocon right in 14th, getting both drivers right from Alpine, and there being that gap in between, I would have been proud of that one, but slightly missed it, slightly scratched the pitch there. But I did get that bang on. I'm proud of that. And that was probably looking really wrong until later on in the season, because I felt like the last 3 races he had like a good race. Maybe not. I feel like he qualified good actually in one of those final races, and then his car DNF. But either way, he kind of came good towards the end of the car, did at least anyway. And also with Ocon being shoved out the back door, it kind of makes it easier to gain some points on your teammate type thing. Going up from there, I got Perez, P9. Damn, this is one out of all of them the most I wish I got bang on right. Getting Perez, because again, we'll look back to Tomo. He's not going to call himself a professional. In this setting, next to me, I'm saying this is the professional. Sorry. And he put Perez P6. I'm proud of the fact that I put him so low. Slightly too low, I put him P9. But again, that was probably under the assumption that he would lose his seat and therefore miss out on a bunch of races where he could get extra points and people would catch up with him. Maybe he would now be in a worse car or just be out of the sport. So that was bearing that in mind. And I was bearing in mind the fact that he might lose his seat with like 8 races to go, and I put him in P9. The fact that he finished 8th and he was in the Red Bull the whole time, he didn't lose his seat, is probably even more damning and even more worse, actually, Perez. But I was one off. He technically did one better. So you know what, Sergio? You proved me wrong. I'm your hater. You proved me wrong there, lad. You know what I mean? I predicted you P9. Fair play, lad. You were P8. Going up from there, Perez. I put Alonso P8. Alonso was P9. That sucks when you get him just the wrong way around, because it's like so close there. And Like it's just so close to the Nuggets. But that's basically the story of my life as we now go up to number one. Because moving on from Alonso, I put Russell P7, and now we can really get into why I'm just using my heart here. Because was I though? Because going into this season, predicting Hamilton to do better than Russell after he was like a lot better than him in the second season, I don't think was crazy. I don't think there was any reason to predict Russell would be better, although Tomo did do that, so fuck me then, I guess. But I predicted Russell P7, and I predicted not Hamilton P6, Sainz P6, not Hamilton P5, Piastri P5. I predicted Hamilton as high as fourth, and I think that is kind of a ridiculous thing to say. But yeah, it's what I wanted to happen. I think like the season before last, I predicted Hamilton to win the thing. So like, I'm clearly a little bit biased, methinks. But you know, yeah, I predicted that big gap wasn't to be. Like, it's a silly 3 points dropped because like, look, you can have fun. Let me sit myself down here and actually talk to myself. You can have fun and all that's all good. And you want to predict Hamilton higher, but why did you predict Hamilton fourth and Russell seventh? Why didn't you just? Because if I just predicted Hamilton sixth, like again, like you just shorten that gap. You know what I mean? Because Hamilton was actually eighth, which means to be fair to myself or Tomo, I gave him an extra point earlier. No, wait, no, Hamilton was seventh in the actual thing, and Russell was sixth. Okay, no, I almost gave myself an extra point there, which would have given me a worse score, which I actually didn't deserve. So I'm really confusing myself with this whole table system. I put Piastri P5. I thought Norris would be comfortably better, and I think he was comfortably better. I think that's fair enough. People will continue to give Piastri heaps and heaps of flowers, and then turn around and continue to just shit all over the visor of Norris, even though he's consistently doing better qualifying and in the race and they're in the same car. And people will keep hiding behind the fact that Norris has been in the sport longer, he has more experience, of course he's doing better. But like, at what point does that even out? At any time? I know it's only been 2 years, so that's still a fair argument to say. And obviously I think Piastri is fucking dog's bollocks, lad. But it is just like kind of crazy how like they're in the same car. And I don't think it's misleading. I think he just is kind of comfortably better in it, at least for now. And I'm probably going to predict him above Piastri again next season. What can I say? But yeah, but Piastri P5. In reality, Piastri was fourth. I don't know if you say P5, P19, P8 when we're talking about the standings, but I've noticed I keep doing it. Going up into my top. Are we at 3 now? Yeah, my top 3. I predicted Norris P3. I predicted he'd be third, which I feel like at the time I thought was me being generous, and I thought that was me hope dicting kind of thing. And now if you told me he would actually be second, I'd be like, oh, really? But now seeing how the season's played out, you kind of feel like you've lost first more than you've gained second, which is never a nice feeling. But yeah, that means you can see I'm right. Or you can see that I have not predicted another bang-on predict. Right. So I can't speak. Basically, I didn't. Sure, I got a couple bang-ons in the middle. I didn't get the one. Sure, I didn't predict Verstappen would win. But more for you, because, you know, it's not about the destination, it's about the fun we had along the way. Okay? And it was, you know, it kind of got close for a little bit. People were shitting themselves for a little bit. If anyone just put easy money on that to gain, like, probably £5 profit. Whoa, slow down, buddy. But I predicted Leclerc would win. Mainly just because, like, probably at the time, I kind of thought to myself, everyone's saying Verstappen's going to win. Who is the next closest car do I think is going to be the next closest competitor? So if it isn't Verstappen, and I obviously wasn't even like considering it to be Perez, his own teammate, I was like, if it's anyone, it's probably Ferrari. And if it's Ferrari, then therefore I'm just going to predict Leclerc to be first because I want that more. I just probably got it wrong with thinking that the Ferraris would have the car that the McLaren ended up having. Which means I was 3 off on the leader and 1 off in second and third. Meaning my final score of the points all added together with 2 right decisions, I got 43 points. Now, I got 2 right, and Tomo, the expert here, got 6 right. So he did completely defecate on me. That is, what is that, 3 times as more? I don't know why I had to work that out, that's poor maths. But that's a big increase on what I managed to muster. But with that being said, considering I had a bit of fun, like, you know, I put, you know, I didn't predict Verstappen to win, for crying out loud. And you know what? he got 6 right and I only got 2 right. But that's all flash. That's all fancy. Okay, cool. You got ones bang on. But the ones he got wrong, he had bigger gaps than me. I'll say that because his biggest gap was bigger than my biggest gap, which was 8. My biggest gap was 7, so it's not like it's the biggest difference in the world. But so I've at least got that to my name. And also, he did beat me on points. I scored a score of 43. He scored a score of 39. But I had him down here as 36 because I thought that album 37 because I thought that album won. So actually figuring out that was wrong makes me feel good about myself. It brings the score closer. He only beat me by 4 points, and we were having fun here. We were living our lives here. We were dancing the soul, so we were having a good time. We were living a little. So what's the price of a good time? What's the price of a memory? You're waffling, I know. But yeah, no, I did lose. I'm just trying to like polish a turd right now. But I just would say, I've not been watching the sport too long. Give me a chance. I'm going to grow into this a little bit. I'm going to take some things into the future. I'm going to start predicting teammates to finish there being less of a gap between most teams. I'm going to stop doing that. And I'm still going to predict with my heart over my head because I just think it's like the right way. It's called manifestation. But I don't regret a single thing. I'll say that. It was a great season. It was a cracking season. I can't wait till next season. I'm not going to be doing my predictions anytime soon. Not that, it really makes it. I actually could do my predictions, now. Because with football, you got to wait. Because you got to see who gets transferred and stuff like that. And the new signings. To see the outfit and the new machinery going into the new season. I don't make any of my predictions based off of what I hear in testing on who's going to be good. I kind of just make it off of mainly the drivers and off of this season. And the trajectory from this season, and if I think they'll carry on. So realistically, I could just do it now, apart from the fact that most people do it later. So I'll think about that. Because I also think there's more value in predicting it from now than waiting until you basically hear who's got the best card next year. That's like a cheat code. That's like looking at the back of the box and seeing the answers or whatever. That don't seem right. So I actually might do that. But yeah, that's all. How's on we got? How's on we're going to the end. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, and goodbye.